Georgia Bulldogs' new transfer wide receiver, Zachariah Branch, is going to bring explosiveness, dynamicism, and big playmaking to their offense.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast. Cover your favorite draft prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parson. I'm an offensive NFL draft analyst with Bleacher Report. That's my guy, Keith Sanchez. He is a director of scouting with the Draft Network and 2019 national champion with those LSU Tigers. And as always, thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers. Again, the scouting notebook is still wide open with these wide receivers. Zachariah Branch traveling and transferring from USC to Georgia. Georgia needed wide receiver help. We're going to talk about what he can bring to that offense and how he could really help the NFL draft landscape as a wide receiver. Singleton Jr. transferring from Georgia Tech. We had a good season last year. Now he's in Auburn in the SEC. And then Eugene Wilson III at Florida, coming off of an injury-riddled season. We're going to talk about what the film showed us and what he can do. But before that, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Zachariah Branch, 5'10", 175 pounds. He's coming off a season last year, Keith, 74 targets, 47 receptions, 503 yards, around 11 yards per catch, and only one receiving touchdown, man. And Keith, I look at this guy, and I remember, just looking at my notes on him. He is quick twitch. He is quick twitch. He's just a dangerous run after catch threat. Excels in space. He does all the manufactured stuff that you look for in the guys. Typically, the guys that's built like him, Keith, that you want these guys to have that type of movement pattern and athleticism and do those type of things. And I think he's a type of receiver. Honestly, the OC got to get it right this year because they didn't get it right last year. Get Oscar Depp, get Lucky Lawson, get those tight ends the football, and then also get Zachariah Branch the football. And I think his skill set, if they use the tight ends as big receivers, his skill set pairs very well with what they already have. Now, what I want to see from him this year, Keith, is I want to see him kind of use. I want them to still use him as that just kind of gadget, do-it-all type of receiver. Because what he does bring after the catch and how he can make guys miss and be electric in open field, but also I expect him to play in the slot, and I want to see him just play, be used as a full-time wide receiver and not just the gadgety stuff and not just the manufactured touches. Let's get him and showcase the full route tree of what his route tree actually looks like, because that's going to really determine how the NFL views him, right? If you're only a gadget guy, as we know, what was it? Malachi Corley came out two drafts ago.
Yeah, yep.
He was everybody called him Deebo Samuel. He was that gadget guy, that short screens and run after catch threat. And he, granted it was Aaron Rodgers. So if you're not doing the wide receiver stuff, you better cash in on whatever opportunities I give you. It has not looked great for him just yet, right? So I want to see Zachariah Branch be used. Show his full skill set, not just the easy touch stuff. Let him play wide receiver and develop there as well.
Yeah, and the gadget stuff is the conversation I think I want to sit on, right? Because he's an electric playmaker, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just get the ball in his hands, and he's probably going to make two people miss before he gets tackled. You can book that, right? Whoever the two people are, he's going to make them miss. Now, is there a path, because his size, right? And I believe he's probably around 5'10", 180 pounds.
75, 80 pounds.
Yeah. And so with wide receivers, and I'm trying to think, DP, in the past, right, have been dominant number ones at that size. And I hate to put, because you know me, I hate speaking in absolutes, right? I think that's the one thing with the scouting community. We have to stop speaking in absolutes and understand that everybody's their own individual, character, right? In a sense. Mm-hmm. And so I think of obviously Antonio Brown, right? He's the first guy that comes to mind as far as a small electric guy. But I think that my point is with him being at Georgia, I want to see him play on the outside consistently
Mm.
and see how does he win. Now, interesting enough, there's another Georgia wide receiver that just came out last year, Lad McConkey.
Yep.
Can he do that? Can he be Lad? And
Mm.
that instantly translates to where, because I think that there's variance in gadget guys, right? In the sense of the
Yeah.
fact of there's gadget guys where their role is probably uniquely specific to end arounds, orbit motions, jet sweeps, right? And quick screens and bubble screens, things like that, right? But then there are gadget guys to where their short area quickness and lateral agility allows them to do that. But they also have roles as wide receivers, right? And
Yeah.
you have to, I think when we get into this bucket, because we've seen this before with the Kadarius Tonys, and it's been quite a few names that I'm trying to think of that's not coming to mind now, and I'm sure we'll talk about Zachariah Branch this entire draft season.
Yeah, of course.
Outcome with different names that didn't necessarily plan out, right? They didn't phase out, and I wonder if we're going to see with Zachariah Branch, there kind of be a back and forth. But I would like to see him play on the outside. I would like to see him play as a slot only. I want to see different things from him because just I think being an electric playmaker and just being able to shake people, I don't know if we can necessarily say that that's a credential to make you a first rounder. Now,
Yeah.
I think Zachariah Branch is a playmaker. I think he has opportunity to really shift things. But we even look at small guys, and I didn't even realize Deshaun Jackson was this small, but him coming out, right? And what he did at Cal and how that transitioned to the NFL of him being a vertical playmaker. But there were years where he served as the wide receiver one listed at 5'9", 170 pounds. And so can Zachariah Branch even come with that? So they're different varying points. And that's why I say I like to treat each draft prospect as their own individual profile, because there is no blanket statement to go across it, right? Like you try to throw a blanket on something and there's an all pro that kind of bunks that notion, right? There's a Hall of Famer that bunks that notion. So that when I thought about Zachariah, because you talked about the athletic traits, I thought more of the conceptually, like how does this evolve and kind of unfold for him, and especially Georgia being a very interesting situation. We've seen you know what they are, DP? They are in that bracket of, I think, Alabama in like the mid 2010s, right? When it was run game and the quarterback play was iffy, it was up and down, and then the LSU years, right, where it was the Les Miles, the Mad Hatter, and the Jeremy Hills and running the ball and defense, and you're like, just put the offense together. And with Georgia, you're putting out draft prospects left and right defensively.
Left and right.
Y'all have talent on the offensive side of the football. Get them the ball, right? Like I think
100%.
that's where we're at with Georgia.
Yeah, the OC got like I said at the beginning, get your tight ends going. You know what I mean? Let Oscar Depp should see no less than 100 targets this year to me. Oscar Depp, Lawson Lucky, who's kind of that Lawson Lucky, I think he was a freshman last year, but he looks similar. He looks similar to like the Colston Lovelands, like that extended wide receiver build where he's tall, long, he's athletic. And you're like, yeah, like I feel good about that. But a couple of names, Keith, to think about. Like for me, I was like, okay, from a body type standpoint, remember John Brown, who used to play for the Cardinals, that speed threat, the deep threat. Now, of course, like skill wise, like Branch is more elusive and he's gonna make guys miss. Like John Brown was that take the top off the defense, deep threat, like all that. But like a player that, as you were talking, I thought about, I said, man, if he hits, he could be like this guy, Zay Flowers with the Baltimore Ravens. And Zay Flowers is 5'9", 180.
And Zay, I actually really like that one because I feel like they're very similar. And I know you just listed out the measurables, but even just like there's different types of 5'8", 175 pounds, and Zay was the more compact version of that, right? Yeah. Like, and the reason we're hitting on that is because that leads to broken tackles. They're sturdy guys. They have good contact balance. Like good lower halves and things like that. I like that one a lot as far as a recent comp. I don't mind that one because when you throw out and just some other names, right, and they may have not worked, Zay Flowers is working.
Yes.
And he's at the threshold of being a wide receiver 1.5, get me some help, please, type situations, right? Like, so to make him more well-rounded. I actually like that a lot.
Yeah, and they played like that was he's one of the guys where you look at Baltimore's offense. Yes, he runs routes and he does no wide receiver things. They also use him in gadget stuff a lot.
Yeah,
they
that's
get
what I'm
the
saying.
ball to him in space. So conceptually, that's the type of guy. Like if an offensive coordinator drafts Zachariah Branch, and you want to figure out how do I game plan him into our offense. Look at what the Baltimore Ravens are doing with Zay Flowers, and he can do very similar things.
Yep, with DP, man, we have to stay in the SEC. We are going to Auburn. Georgia Tech transfer Eric Singleton is now at Auburn. We're going to talk about him, another electric playmaker. Yes, we're going to talk about that. Eric Singleton, wide receiver, Auburn, coming up next.
The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot by Tyrese Halliburton or a breakout player like Andrew Nembhard, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. And if you're trying to win big, you need to be able to curate and put the trends into your bets. And if there's a guy that's trending upward, it is Tyrese Halliburton. It is SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Those 2-star point guards are trending in the right direction. New to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. So make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. 5'11", 190 pounds, listed as new Auburn wide receiver Eric Singleton Jr. Keith got transferred from Georgia Tech, and we talked about it yesterday how the continuity between quarterback and receiver is actually really helpful for a lot of these guys, especially if you're a receiver, knowing your quarterback knowing you. Eric Singleton said, I don't care about none of that. I'm going to Auburn. I'm leaving. You know what I mean? And he dipped out, left Georgia Tech, and he had a good season last year. 90 targets, 56 receptions, 754 yards, 13.5 yards per reception, 3 receiving touchdowns, and similar to Zachariah Branch, similar to like we talked about with Zay Flowers. He's a do-it-all type of guy. He handles the gadget stuff, the manufactured touches. You get the jet pop pass, you get the jet sweeps. They hand the ball off to him. They give him throws, wide receiver screens. He's very dynamic. That first step when he plants to after he gets the ball in his hands, he's explosive as a run after catch threat in space. Guy also like Haynes King is an outstanding, accurate quarterback. But one thing he did do well is he connected with Eric Singleton on those deep throws, like being able to take the top off the defense. He did well. Again, space player, works well in those quick game concepts. That spot, stick, RPO, just quick stuff. He can work very well in that as well. Keith, I think this is a guy that the only problem, Keith, I want him to go somewhere with a quarterback. Like, you know what I mean? I want him to go somewhere where it's like, yeah, you catching a lot of passes. You're getting, because we talk about this, Keith, like target share is important, but the quality of the targets, like I don't care if you're getting 150 targets, but if they're not catchable passes, like it doesn't really matter. I wanted to see this young man in an offense where you're going to be, where you're with one of the more high profile. Like I would love to see him at LSU with Garrett Nussmeier, right? I would love to see him in Penn State catching the ball from Drew Allen, because number one, Drew Allen needs as much help as possible because they don't do a great job with receivers, even though they brought some guys in. Love to see him in Arkansas with Taylor Green, or go to South Carolina with Lenore. I would love to see him in one of those situations, right? Where not only are you getting the targets, but you're playing high level football games. High leverage football, no disrespect to Auburn. Like you're in the SEC, so every game is a high leverage football game. You either the team that somebody's trying to knock you off the porch, or you're the team knocking somebody off the porch, right? Like that's the situation you're in. But man, I want to see him in potential playoff games, SEC championship games. I don't see that in
DP, are you writing the Auburn Tigers off already? Are we writing them off?
Yes, Keith, yes, I am ready. I can, and it's not even them. It's just, I don't trust Peyton Thorne. Peyton Thorne has to take a big step for me to feel comfortable with it. But I think this is a young man that he's such a fun just playmaker, man. And I think that's I saw something on social media. Somebody said that they didn't like the 2026 wide receiver class, and I was like, man, you're missing out. There's a lot of playmakers in this class. A lot of different body types, athletic profiles. This is a fun class so far, really kind of getting into like 6-7 receivers deep. I think Eric Singleton is going to be a guy that I don't think he's well known because he played at Georgia Tech. I feel like a lot of people don't know about him. But I think if Auburn does the same thing Georgia Tech has done, he's going to be on TV a lot. People know him, Keith.
Yeah, I think in as we live in this transfer portal age, right? You almost, as you get to the scouting reports and knowing these players, you have to look at the bio now, right? Like you have to know where guys came from and things like that. And so watching Eric Singleton, I thought all of the same things athletically, right? I'll provide the other lens, which you just kind of left off of, is the transfer part. I immediately just started scratching my head. I'm like, I don't know how this is gonna turn out because DP is not. It's not only it's the conference, right? It's the playing in the SEC. It's not saying that he shouldn't do that. What I'm saying is that Auburn's placement, right? And like you talked about, like the postseason opportunities and things like that. You talking about Texas, Oklahoma, LSU, Bama, Georgia, Florida, right? Like it's just a tough gamut that you have to run. Then I thought about him transferring. Obviously, we talked about Peyton Thorne, and hopefully he takes the next step forward. But at this point, it was one of those things where I sat there and look at it. I'm like, it's almost what they say, like the devil right? Like, I'd rather just go with what I know. Haynes King, I know my coach is going to feed me the football. I'm going to just stay put. And then lastly, Auburn has like they have some young guys, right, that played as freshmen.
Five stars.
Yeah, 2 5-stars. I think it's Cam Coleman and Malcolm Simmons, if I'm correct.
Coleman's probably going to be the wide receiver one of that team.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So you have to fight through that part too. So it'll be very interesting to see. And Eric Singleton, and like you said, the talent is in a vacuum. The talent is there, right? But this is what I thought about too, DP, because we talked about these wide receivers, and I think this is a fun show because all of these guys have similar traits and body types. Yeah. And I'm gonna call this early is that it's going to be very interesting how these guys start to separate themselves. And do we see kind of like the running back situation to where it's almost you can go in the second round, and if you don't get picked by happenstance, you can go in the 5th round, right? Like, and I think we got that with the running backs this past year. It was like you can reshuffle the deck again and come out with different guys fall into the 5th, 6th, 7th round, right? Like, and just get different variants because one guy, because you said the Zay Flowers comp, and I was like, man, who did I compare Zay Flowers to last year? I was like, there was a wide receiver, and I couldn't remember. And I was just sitting there thinking while you were talking, Deion Burks. That's another wide receiver we have to talk about. And he has a quarterback, and he's another smaller body, electric, shifty, explosive, can take the top off. Like he's another guy that you have to throw into that bucket. So it'll make it very fun just watching these guys unfold. But yeah, like, I mean, just to the guy that said he doesn't like this wide receiver core, and sometimes you gotta WTF and watch the film. This should be a fun wide receiver core. And people are going to emerge because we still have other names that have to pop off and do things like that. So I think it's gonna be fun, DP.
No, I think, like I said, Cam, honestly, because there's a 2 sides to the coin going to Auburn, and the Cam Coleman being the superstar freshman going into the sophomore year, him being the top guy, like essentially like the Jeremiah Smith of this team, that pulls some coverage away from you. So now, all right, Peyton Thorne, get the ball to the guy that's open. If Eric Singleton's the guy that's open, if he's open 10 times in that game, you play Georgia, get it to him 10 times. Like, because that's the thing of staying at Georgia Tech. You're going to produce. You're going to get the ball. You're wide receiver one. They're going to design a scheme and use the right concepts to get you going. And the crazy thing about it, Keith, is what I don't want to see is we get to this point next year and we're talking about Eric Singleton at a different school. Like, I'm cool. I'm all for the transfer portal. Coaches can leave whenever the heck they want. I'm fine with players being able to leave. But the NFL these scouts and stuff don't look fondly on a guy they transfers 3-4 times. Like, they don't want to see that because it's like, well, what's the problem? Like, is it the situations or is it the one common denominator who's transferring? Is it you? And you don't want to put that type of spotlight, negative spotlight on you. I think this guy's an outstanding playmaker. I think he could be a really good wide receiver, especially like that in that movement Z slot role in the NFL. Just again, like we're seeing the NFL being more open to guys that move and played his style, Zachariah Branch's style, Zay Flowers style, that style of receiver. What we saw from Elite Neighbors, I think teams are going to chase that more. It's like, okay, yeah, Marv, you are an outstanding route runner. You're big body, you're strong, but we can get the ball to Malik Neighbors so much easier. You know what I mean? So it's like, well, if I got a Daniel Jones at quarterback, I'd rather have a Malik Neighbors because it doesn't take as much. I can just dump it off and let Malik go ahead and be Malik, and that makes things a lot easier. Eric Singleton is that type of guy. Him and Zachariah Branch, they can do those type of things, which makes the quarterback's lives a lot easier. Just with the easy pitch and catch in space, go make a play.
Yep. Well, DP, let's do this, man. Auburn SEC, Georgia SEC.
Also full SEC.
Yeah, Florida SEC. We're going to talk about Eugene Wilson, the redshirt sophomore playmaker for the Florida Gators. We're going to talk about him. He's draft eligible, another electric playmaker. We're going to break him down. What did we see? Talk about him. What can he do to elevate his draft stack? Talk about him coming up next.
Say goodbye to sticky notes, scribble plans on the fridge, and overlapping calendar invites. The Skylight Calendar is here to bring clarity to the chaos and help families like mine stay organized without the stress. This sleek digital display syncs with your existing calendars, Google, Apple, Outlook, and more, making it simple to track appointments, practices, dinners, and reminders all in one easy-to-see place. And take it from me, I'm a husband, a father. I know how much I used that I didn't know or I didn't remember excuse to my wife. Now with the Skylight Calendar, I don't have to do those things. I can put everything on there. It's all synced together, and it keeps me and my family on track. So I love that. Right now, Skylight is offering our listeners $30 off their 15-inch calendars by going to skylightcal.com/NFL. Go to skylightcal.com/NFL for $30 off your 15-inch calendar. That's skylightcal.com/NFL. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and everyday. Shout out for being our everydayers. Eugene Wilson III, 5'10", 183 pounds listed as. He played, I believe, 4 games last year. I believe he dealt with some injuries. He caught 19 of his 26 targets for 266 yards receiving, 14 yards per catch and 1 touchdown. In 2023, I believe he was one of the better freshman receivers in the SEC that year. He caught 86% of his targets, 71 targets, 61 receptions, 544 yards, 9 yards per catch, and 6 receiving touchdowns. And that's without having really good quarterback play. Now you coming into the season healthy, ready to go, and you have DJ Lagway, right? The 6'3", like 240-pound, just grown man at quarterback. Big arms, super mobile, can do pretty much anything he wants on the field. And I expect Eugene to probably end up being his number 1 wide receiver by the time we get to the end of the season. And Keith, like you talked about with Singleton, with Branch, Wilson's the same thing. He's another just guy that can handle that, the yak, the gadget stuff, the quick hitting stuff. You want to get him the ball in space. He makes plays. He's fast. I do think that there's upside for him as a route runner when you look at his movement patterns and how he moves and sets guys up and everything. But he's just a guy that you want to get the ball to, and he's easy to get the ball to. And I think with what Billy Napier is building, he's now built the trust of the fan base. I think he got a contract extension as a head coach and everything at Florida because they're starting to see the writing on the wall. Looks like they're trending in the right direction, especially after what was it, like week 1 last year they played Miami, and it was just like, yep, this is an omen that this season is not going to go well for y'all. You know what I mean? You got Cam Ward out here styling and profiling like Ric Flair. You know what I mean? It's just like, this is not going well. But they eventually, once DJ Lagway got into the starting lineup and started to see him settle in when he could and things like that, Just sucks that Eugene he was not always available. I think it's another guy again. What was his measurements? 5'10", 183, 185. Another similar build, similar profile, and similar skill set. Some of the guys we've already talked about. That might be kind of we'll get into Deion Burks on Friday's episode, Keith. It might be kind of the nature of this wide receiver class. We're going to have a lot of dynamic, explosive playmakers. We're going to be looking for who's the size guys, who's the big body guys in this class to kind of round it out. But I think Eugene, big year coming for him. I think it'll be a true junior season for him, so he's draft eligible.
Yeah, no, I agree. And if I had to put a tag on him, it would be most approved, right? Out of the 6 wide receivers now we've done over the past couple episodes, he's kind of got most approved, right? You talked about the injury riddle season, then being a freshman the year before, right? Like just kind of carving out his role. You know, that like Ricky Pearsall, I think, was still there, and you're just trying to find your role. So he has most approved, but you see that there's a path too when you talk about the punt return, the kick return, just doing those different things, and then obviously. You go Florida playmaker, electric guy. People are automatically going to point right to Kadarius Toney, right? But I think
Percy Harvin, one of those
or Percy Harvin. And if you're Eugene, you want to kind of pull the Percy Harvin. You want the Percy Harvin comp more, but you kind of see it, right? And I would like to see Florida kind of go all in, right? Go all in, because you're going to have a young quarterback in DJ Lagway, who's going to need the layups from time to time. So go all in, get the ball to him, and just allow him to make plays. But you see it just from the limited snaps, DP, of what this guy can do, and I want to see him be utilized as the vertical stretch guy, right? I want to see if he can do some things across the middle of the field. And I know people are like, okay, well, he's smaller. Why would you put him across the middle of the field? What I'm saying is that getting the ball in his hands, right, and finding those windows, because how many times, DP, have we seen wide receivers and it's quick slants or it's digs or something, they catch that football and then they break angles going up the field, right? And we like, oh, this wide receiver's fast, right? Like he can run for real. I want to see him being put in those situations to where plays a call for him. Let the first guy clear it out. You come find that vacant spot, get him the football, and let him do some things, because he's definitely a playmaker.
No, I like that, Keaton. I think, you're talking about the over the middle of the field stuff. He does a good job working on those crossers and end breakers. And when you got a quarterback with an arm that's one of the best in the entire country, like DJ Lagway can rip it, like throw all the cliches we talk about with arm strength. He has every bit of that. Throw it through a brick wall and all that. Got the launch codes, all that. And to your point, because I was thinking about the same thing, I want to see him take the top off the defense more, because when he was his freshman year, like I said, still had Ricky Pearsall. He averaged I think his average depth of target that year was I believe it was 2.8. And last year his average depth of target was 6. So, and I think Graham Mertz was the quarterback. So he different arm strength, the arm talent category compared to a DJ Lagway. I think DJ Lagway is they're gonna open it up. They're gonna throw the ball down the field. I think like you said, most improved. I think he's got a chance to create a ton of explosives in this offense in 2025. Now that he's healthy, ready to go, I think him and DJ Lagway, the launch codes will be activated. I think he's going to throw the ball down the field as he should, because you already know the floor, the baseline of usage is, okay, we can get you the ball 5 to 7 yards under. We know we can do that. We know you're good at that. All right, cool. Now, when we start doing those type of things, let's also factor in and implement the deep ball, the explosive plays, the deep over, the horizontal and vertical shots. Create those 15, 20, 30-yard plays, those chunk plays. And I think Eugene Wilson can do that. Now he's got a quarterback that matches his athletic profile that can really open up the field for him, because there's no part of the field that DJ Lagway can't access. So, but when you got a guy like that, you want to go ahead and chuck it deep, especially if you get the run game going, things like that. They start kind of creeping up a little bit. You're like, okay, your quarterback sees it, makes that little hand gesture. You take it deep. I got you. Play action, RPO, whatever, and let it rip. And I think that's going to really help that offense, because again, making the defense play you honest. And I think that's going to be a big thing, especially for this would be DJ Lagway's first full year as a starter. Graham Mertz, I think, started the season last year, then got hurt. Lagway came in. This will be his first year as a full-time starter, and you're going to have to really deal with some of the ebbs and flows. Same thing as a rookie in the NFL, like first time starting in the NFL. It's not always going to be a flat line of development or success. You're going to deal with ebbs and flows. I think Eugene Wilson should be his security blanket all 2025.
Yep, I agree with DP. That wraps up another episode, man, of the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I want to end this podcast off by saying shout out to our everydayers. Thank you for tapping in with us each and every single day. I am Keith Sanchez. You can find me on X at The Talent Code. That right there is my guy, my co-host, Mr. Damian Parson. You can find him on X at DP_NFL. And like we like to say, man, y'all come talk to us because we like to talk back.
Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, to get the latest episode as soon as it is available. On Friday's show, we're getting into Deion Burks and Nick Anderson, two guys that were on the same team, but now they're on two different teams, battled injuries in 2024. We'll go back and check the 2023 tape, see what they did well. What will Nick Anderson bring to LSU? What would Deion Burks, now teamed up with John Mateer, one of our favorite quarterbacks in college football this year? Come and join the conversation again on Friday on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.